Hey everyone, this is your host Leena. Welcome back to Top 2, the podcast where we break down our top 2 strategies and takeaway. And as we say, no fluff, just good stuff. So, guys, today's episode is all about nailing communication, whether at work, with friends, or family. We'll share some important tips and tools with you on communication. And not to forget, I'm here with my brilliant co host, Aisha.
Hey Lida, how are you
Hi,
today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so excited for today because these tips and tools that you mentioned, we use them all the time in both personal and professional situation. So let's just jump in right in.
Hey, sure. And before we get into it, for those who don't know, Aisha just isn't my podcast partner.
Mm-hmm.
She's also the people and cultures director in her company, handling teams daily. Plus, she's a smarty pants with PhD in human resources and management. So we are talking to Dr. Aisha today, not just Aisha.
Oh wow, what an introduction. Well, this is completely out of the script and it was no needed, but thank you, Lena. And
But it's well deserved.
oh wow. So as we said about communication as a topic, and it's such a vast topic that people study for years. And to cover this in the podcast, I think we were talking about certain things that our listeners can take from this podcast, certain tips and tools that they can use on their daily life. So what was the first one that you were speaking about?
Yes, that would be direct.
Be direct. It means like
Yes.
stop beating around the bush.
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
The second one would be, what did you hear?
What did you hear? Yeah, so it would be for like avoiding miscommunication and paraphrasing your stuff back.
Awesome.
Okay.
Third one would be, close the conversation.
Close the conversations to make sure that everybody is on the same page. That means end with clarity.
Bang on.
Okay.
And last but not the least, humor.
That would be a favorite one, I think. Like add a little lightheartedness to the conversation.
Yes, absolutely correct.
Okay.
So, Aisha, I have always been curious as your friend and now as your podcast partner. How do you manage all these personalities and keep communication so smooth? So, Aisha, let's start with our first communication style. That would be direct. Because
Be
I've
direct.
seen, yes, people often try to soften, bad news or feedback. What do you think about it?
Bang on, like be direct. I love this one because Lena, I have seen in my professional life and many times when I'm counseling as well, that people go in circles just to avoid the tough part. But the problem is that it makes the other person anxious. When things are not clear, it causes stress for everyone. But when you are direct, it reduces that ambiguity.
That makes more sense. It's like when you know where you stand, you don't have to worry about keep guessing things.
Yeah, I mean, when we are indirect, which is opposite to being direct, people often think, oh no, what's coming? Such a suspenseful situation. It creates unnecessary tensions. And sometimes people become defensive as well. And they want to just come out of their shell in a different way. So being direct can actually prevent this. For example,
Right.
if you're in a meeting or if you're meeting somebody for dinner and they're late again, instead of being all passive aggressive or giving them the silent treatment, say, I know things happen, but when you're constantly or consistently late, it makes me feel like my time isn't valued. So it's respectful and honest and way better than skirting around the issues. Over the time, this kind of communication actually builds in trust. Or,
Right.
if you are giving a feedback to a colleague, which is often so hard, the feedback is not always the easy communication skill people have. So instead of saying you didn't meet the deadline and going all about differently about it, I know you're working hard and missing deadlines affects the team progress is a better way of saying it. And can we come up with a plan together to stay on track? This shows accountability, directness, and it supports things without sugarcoating.
So, No sugarcoating is the key, that means.
Absolutely. No sugarcoating is the key. Now,
Okay.
in this case, when we go, as we take it forward, again, if you need someone to deliver the tough news to a coworker, trust that
Hmm.
they can handle it. Start with saying, I think you're strong enough to take this in stride, and then deliver the news. It respects their resilience and avoid the unnecessary demotivation.
Okay, so in a nutshell, directness does not have to be harsh. It's about just being clear, honest, and respectful. And I
Mm-hmm.
think with time, this can help build stronger and more trusting relationships.
Yep,
So the
that's true.
next time, stop sugarcoating and trust they can handle it.
Yes, people respect honesty and clarity, Lina. So be direct.
I see. It's all about the delivery, how you put the message across.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so on to our tip two. What did you hear? Now, this one's simple but often missed, right?
Yeah.
It's like taking in from, assuming to confirming. People always think they've understood the message.
News flash. Well, they're not. They've not. So every time people think that, they've spoken and other person or a crowd has understood the message, well, no, most of the time they have not. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where our question comes in.
Yeah.
So simple but so powerful. What did you hear?
Yeah. What did you hear? So it's not about hearing the words, but it making sure that the message has landed. People think that communicated and communication is simple, and what they've communicated clearly is being received, but without checking in, you might be surprised, Lena, by what the other person understood. For example, I had a
Hmm.
colleague, and when I said, like, let's make our task a priority this week, he interpreted that focus on task A only, when I actually meant do task A first, but keep everything else going. So that's when I learned, and I thought that no, I'm always going to repeat of whatever I said, to ask what did you hear, to avoid so much of confusion, and that everybody's on the same page in the end.
Yes, I get that. I also use this with my sister all the time.
Okay.
Like I tell her something like let's meet for lunch around noonish, and
Yeah.
somehow she hears show up whenever you want between 12 to 3. So the next time I would like go and ask her, what did you hear me
Yeah.
say?
Hmm.
Because it saves us from all the frustration later.
That's a classic one, like lunchtime. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's all about making sure everybody leaves the conversation at the same page and helps the other person to process the information instead of just mindlessly nodding along. So it's not only for big conversation or big meetings, but it takes, it can be done for small conversations as well. And it just takes 2 seconds and saves all the potential headaches later.
So correct.
Yep.
All right, so on to our third tip,
Mm-hmm.
close the conversation with clarity. Now, this one is crucial for keeping things from being left in the air or fade out.
Definitely. So at the end of any conversation, whether personal or it's work related, I like to wrap up by saying something like, for example, what's our next step? Or what's the takeaway from this? So it gives everybody this direction and prevents that awkward silence and wait and the feeling that I don't know what I'm going to say now, or is everything over, or people just assume, right? So, yeah.
Aisha, that's such a great habit. I even
Hmm.
do this with my partner.
Okay.
After we've had a talk,
Yeah.
sometimes I will ask, so
Yeah.
what's our plan, instead of me assuming that we both are on the same page.
And are you on the same page?
Never, we are never.
So this one was a good one. So exactly. So you're not clear about conclusions, and things just hang in the air and create misunderstandings. I've seen that happen at work so many times. Like someone walks away thinking everything is settled, while other person thinks that there's more to discuss. So clarity is the key. Close the conversation is not about being bossy. It's about everyone being on the same page to avoid assumptions.
Okay, so here's a quick recap on our communication strategies that you can take away.
Yeah.
First one, as we said, be direct.
Mm-hmm.
So people respect honesty, stop sugarcoating things, and trust they can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second one would be ask, what did you hear? Just to
Right.
make sure everyone is on the same page.
Absolutely.
Close the conversation, always wrap up with clarity about the next steps or takeaways.
Yeah.
But wait, there's one more, Aisha.
What's that?
Humor,
Oh,
it's such a
yeah.
powerful tool
Oh,
for
my God.
better
Yes.
relationship building, isn't it?
So true, so true. So, a well placed joke can diffuse tension or make a tough subject easy to talk about. So, it's not only about, making light jokes about serious conversation and making fun of things with not necessary, but it's finding that sweet spot where humor enhances the message.
I love that. Exactly. Humor also helps us connect on a human level.
It does. It does. At various occasions, you can try this. Yeah.
So, guys, we have covered a lot today, a whole communication masterclass with the
Yeah.
four major principles.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing this is just half the battle, it's also about putting this into practice.
Wow, well said. And I like this part a lot because, you've got to use it or it fades away. Keep it until you're a champ. It's practice makes you perfect. So if you're not using these tools on your daily basis,
Yes.
subconsciously doesn't come out very easily, on your work or your personal life. So to all our listeners, from all of us over here at the studio, we advise you to pick up one tip this week and see how does it go. So if you're always getting into misunderstandings with your friends or at work, what did you hear can be your go-to.
That's such a great idea.
Hmm?
Start small, I feel.
Yeah.
I will go with, closing the conversation because
Okay.
I'm the queen of awkward endings.
Oh god, that would be a good one. Yes, to start off with. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so now
Mhm.
the moment we all have been waiting for,
Yeah.
today's top two tips, where we
Woohoo!
share two gems that will change the way you communicate. So,
Wow.
Aisha, would you like to talk about the first one?
Yeah, so to all our listeners, we have carefully chosen top two gems of the top two podcasts based on the topic today, which is communication. So the first up would be Simon Sinek's TED Talk, which says start with why. Now, how great leaders inspire action is what you'll get to hear here, and it will transform how you communicate by helping you focus on your core purpose. Well, Lena, do you want to say the second one?
Yes, the second one would be Julian Treasure's How to Speak So That People Want to Listen. It's a
Yeah.
masterclass on how to use your voice to capture attention. It's such a masterpiece.
It's great. I was just, listening it last week, and
Hmm.
honestly, I keep on listening it again and again to just get the core message again in my head, so that I can practice it. So these are the quick, powerful talks that will make a real difference in your regular communication game. Remember that communication is a journey and there is always room to grow.
Perfect. And I'm really feeling so inspired. And all these tips will definitely ace my communication game.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us today. Catch up next time on Top 2. Until then, happy communicating, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Whether you're a leader or you're a collaborator or you're a role model, communication is an important skill to ace up your sleeve. So happy communicating next time. Until next time, bye everyone. See you.